Lynn to Philip, May 12, 1945. Dearest Phil, there will be no letter for the 11th. My intentions were good, or shall I say the spirit was willing, but the flesh was weak. When I returned from work, had dinner, bathed Adele, washed her hair, and then some clothes, I decided to lay down for an hour or so before writing. As it was, I slept from 9 to 10:30, whereupon I arose just long enough to go down and bring up my clock, get undressed, and back into bed I went for the rest of the night till 6:45 this morning. Diana cried all night, she is teething, and woke Adele once. I held my breath until she went back to sleep for fear that she, Adele, too, would be troublesome all night. After my usual 5 hours at work today, I had lunch at H&H with Anne, and we went shopping together for Mother's Day. We shopped all afternoon and came home with nothing. All I know is that I was so weary I could barely move. After resting, giving Adele her dinner, getting her to bed, eating my own dinner, and resting some more, I am writing on this. The 2 bouquets and the corsage came late this afternoon. The corsage is lovely, but for some reason or other, I'm way down in the dumps. Besides, I have no place to go, and I do wish I could go somewhere to show off that lovely corsage. The bouquets were very disappointing and skimpy. Don't feel badly about it because both moms were thrilled with them, regardless of their quantity. I know how high flowers are, and while the carnations themselves are really beautiful, they make up a skimpy bouquet. But they are much appreciated nevertheless, and it isn't your fault, and your good intentions are realized by all. My mother's bouquet consisted of 12 carnations with some branches of green leaves, while Mom's was some fern and nice carnations. The flowers, by the way, are all pink. The bouquets last year were much nicer. May 15th, 1945. In case you're wondering what happened in the interim, let me enlighten you. When I finished typing the above, I got the brilliant idea and decided to take Mom to the movies. We promptly dressed and left for the Logan to see Roughly Speaking with R. Russell and Jack Carson. Let's start at the beginning. I last wrote to you on Thursday, immediately before going to the Lindley with Faye to see Meet Me in St. Louis with Judy Garland. It was an attractive picture and entertaining, but I didn't care for it. It was about 12:30 when I got to bed. Incidentally, while at the movies, I saw those movies depicting the Nazi atrocities, and they were terrible. I've already told you what happened on Friday, with the exception that I received your V-mail of May 3rd, which requires no comment. Yesterday, Saturday, I received your V-mails of May 5th and 6th, and from the tone of your letters, I gather that you're not too pleased with your present position as concerns discharge from the Army. I kind of felt the same way all along, and I'm praying it will not be so, and that you will be discharged. The Air Corps is being handled differently from what I've read in the papers, and I'm hoping that it will be to your advantage. Can it be that our luck is that bad? It seems to me that hard luck dogs our way every time we look forward to something to our advantage. Naturally, we'll have to accept whatever course is taken, but that doesn't mean that I shall be pleased about it if it is other than I want it to be. No need to tell you how much I shall be looking forward to your next few letters. This indefiniteness always did get me down, and it's no different now than it was when we started with the draft board, or rather when they started with us. 4 years of Army has gotten me fed up to the ears, and I'm wondering how much more I'll be able to stand of it. I know full well how much it means to you to get home and be with us as before, and if there's a God, he'll certainly look to us this time, or I shall be very, very disappointed. Harry happened to be going to Broad Street when Mom and I left and had gotten a cab, so Mom and I piled in, much to Mom's relief. Since Harry's income has increased to such high proportions, he's extremely liberal with his dough, and no expense is too great for him. On Broad Street, I made Mom stop at one of the hat shops, wanting to buy her a hat, but nothing looked well on her. However, I was able to get an idea of what does look well on her, and will try to get something for her in town. I bought my mother a clothes basket at her request, and I'm giving her $5 in cash. Roughly Speaking was a very entertaining film and one that made me think. Hard luck dogged the tracks of Art Russell in most everything she undertook to do, and I wondered if I could hold up as well under such circumstances. I don't think so. After the movies, we walked home and stopped in Ben's for ice cream. When we got back to the house, Harry and Goldie gave Mom her Mother's Day gift, a lovely aqua and brown print cotton dress and 2 pairs of silk stockings. Harry bought Goldie the following: a corsage like mine, except that hers has 3 gardenias instead of 2 as mine does, a mirrored and mahogany jewel box filled with Dairy Made candy, and a pair of 10-karat gold earrings with amethyst stones. And Goldie couldn't help telling me that he paid $20 for the earrings. He wouldn't tell her at first, but she insisted on knowing only the price of the earrings, which are really beautiful. It was 1 o'clock when I decided it was high time I got to bed. I don't feel so well, expecting to have my period before the day is out. I thought I'd get all dressed up and take pictures, but I'm afraid the weather is not conducive to picture taking. It was raining this morning. Yes, again. But it is clearing up now, and if at all possible, I shall try to take some snaps of Adele and myself. I'm keeping the corsage in the refrigerator to keep it fresh. I shall wear it this afternoon when we go out to eat. I'm going to wear my new aqua dress to set it off just right. During the past week, I've been out 3 times, and if we go out today as we plan, it will make 4 times in 1 week. That's me. Either I go out too much or I stay in too much. I don't mind going out in the least, except that it gives me little, and sometimes no, time to catch up on some much-needed sleep. Friday night I was just too tired to live, and it's a good thing I caught up on my rest, because I got to bed very late last night and stayed awake most of the night, feeling very crampy. The blues had me in their grip, and consequently I cried myself to sleep. Enclosed are the pictures we took last Sunday. I've made some comments on the back of each. By the way, how do you like me in cape sleeves? I know you're going to say Harry looks stout. He is, weighing 240. You mentioned in one of your emails that you were sending along $55 to cover Adele's insurance. I don't want to quibble about the little things either when such big events are taking place in the world. So will you accept my thanks? I assure you I am most appreciative of your efforts in this connection. The money, when received, will go into our bank account, which at the present time totals $400. This morning when Adele was all dressed in her little blouse and skirt, she said, "Mommy, Daddy's going to come home." When I asked why, she said, "He has to see how pretty I look." How true, how true. Phil, she comes out with so many surprising remarks, she really floors me at times. I do wish I had more patience for letter writing, let alone time. Darling, if only you'd come home soon. Adele seemed sleepy, so I put her into her crib for an early nap, which is most unusual for her. I'm going to join the folks and have some lunch. If it's at all possible, I intend to catch a nap myself before getting dressed. Thanks so much, darling, for everything, and I wish so much that you could be here to share it with us. I love you so much, dear Daddy, and am your ever-loving Ev. Darling, decided to add a few more words to this just in case I don't have the opportunity to write at length tomorrow. After lunch, I went upstairs to find that Adele hadn't napped at all. Instead, she had busied herself making a tiny hole in the sheet take on large proportions, and the sheet itself was almost in shreds. So I did the next best thing, dressed her and myself. When we were all ready, we both looked like fashion ads, no kidding. Adele wore her square-necked white pleated blouse, her little green and red plaid wool pleated skirt, her locket, white socks, red beret, and new blue coat with a pink carnation on the lapel. She looked very neat and very smart. I'm wearing my hair differently again. Yes, again. This time I part it in the center and merely brush it back, sort of a Hedy Lamarr style, except that it is very soft and fluffy. I put the bottom of my hair in a fine invisible net. I borrowed a pair of Mom's earrings. Glo once gave them to her, that consist of a cluster of 3 pearls. These matched perfectly to the pearl buttons running down the front of my bright aqua dress. There wasn't a soul who didn't comment on the aqua dress when I made an appearance, and the comments were extremely favorable. Naturally, I wore the corsage, and it was set off beautifully by the brilliant aqua color, very much like the outfit I wore when we were married. I don't think I shall wear that dress much, as I'm certain you will love it, and I want you to see it while it's still new. Adele and I went walking to Emma's house and stayed a short while. Phil is shipping to a POE tomorrow. Walking back from M's, it became so uncomfortably warm that we had to remove our coats. It was very much like summer today, but just as all the other days thus far in May, we had several rainstorms, most of which took place toward evening. It is almost 9 o'clock, and I'm endeavoring in some small way to give you an idea of how we looked. It's a real pity we couldn't take snaps. No camera was the cause, although we do have film. Ethel, Al, Paul, Stuart, and Ray came over about 3 o'clock. Ethel bought Mom a seersucker dress, and Mickey and Ray filled her desire for a pair of pajamas. I wish you could see Mom in the pajamas. It was like a madhouse here all afternoon, and shortly after the first raft left, in walked Lena, Etta, and Nat. Adele is beginning to get her 2-year molars and was very out of sorts both yesterday and today. Adele is breaking herself of her afternoon naps and hasn't had one for days now. Before starting the supplement, I wrote a nice letter to Gloria, thanking her for everything and sending along one of the family snaps made last Sunday. I have a lot of typing to do for my mother and will do it as soon as I finish this. I didn't get unwell yet, and I'm not surprised. It seems that I'm a day or 2 or 3 late each time. I'm enclosing a notice about the 8th Air Force, which appeared in today's paper. Do you know anything about it? I'm also enclosing a card Mr. Bellett received from the High Flyer Company, from whom we purchase kites, because I thought the card very cute and that you might enjoy reading it. My cousin Bessie's husband was one of the very first to be discharged, so we learned from the papers. Big deal. Only one thing could have made this day complete for me, and that was you, darling. I miss you so keenly, and each time I gazed at the corsage, or even smelled it, I got so very full inside I wanted to cry out. I love you so much, my dearest, and wish very much that I could take you in my arms and tell you with words and actions just how I adore being your Ev. Philip to Evelyn, 12th May, 1945. My darling, it is Sunday afternoon, the first Sunday we've had off in almost 2 years. Instead of sleeping late, as sensible people would do, Klein and I got up at 7 o'clock to ride down to the mess hall for breakfast. When we got back, we lay down for a nap, but it is such a lovely afternoon that it seemed a waste of a lot of sunshine to stay indoors. We accordingly got into our bathing trunks and went down the road to get into the volleyball game. We played for about an hour and a half, and then I went to see if we had any mail. Klein had a few letters, but I didn't get any. Then I remembered about that roll of film I have and suggested we borrow a camera and take some snapshots. Unfortunately, one of the fellows took the only 620 camera on furlough with him, so we were out of luck on that score. Having a few hours to kill before supper and the first show, which is the climax, I decided to get my letter off to you and then shower. There is a victory dance at the Aero Club tonight, so I believe I'll take it in. The New Yorkers, a 12-piece band who are highly touted, will play for the dance. You may have noticed, Chippy, that I've been writing on an average of every other day. This is because I find it almost impossible to write every day. As compensation, instead of short emails, I'll try to write letters of decent proportions as formerly. Okay? Your email of 2 May arrived yesterday, and while it contains some items of interest, such as Sonia's visit to Philly and her news of Jack's wedding, Jenny Zaslow's coming marriage. Dave's brother is a lucky guy. She's a sweet girl. Your plans to take family pictures when Glow comes in, and the rather surprising news that your dad is applying for a job as an insurance salesman. There is no need for further comment. When I wrote that longie of 10 May in answer to yours of 28th April, I forgot to comment on your information that you finally aired your intention to make a break to the folks. I think you picked the ideal time to announce it to them, sweet. Having previously made known their own intentions of taking off for the summer, they didn't have much justification for feeling hurt, did they? What's more, I don't think it was at all fair of them to so make their plans that you would be left alone in 4906. It's just this kind of thoughtlessness that makes me burn. Believe me, honey, I'm through worrying about everyone else. Once I return home, I'll have only 3 people's interests at heart. Yours, Adele's, and mine. Just between you and me, sweet, I've been disappointed in Mom on more than one occasion. She evidently has the mistaken idea that she has no responsibilities toward anyone but herself. However, if she expects me to be responsible for her, she'll do well to change her attitude. I always liked having her with me and would like to continue to do so, but I won't tolerate a purely selfish attitude on her or anyone else's part. She'll have to pull her own weight as long as she is able, if she expects to live with us. You needn't fear that I am blinded to her faults through sheer loyalty, sweet, as is the case with some sons, nor would I have any qualms about telling her off in any matter where I felt she hadn't behaved as she should. If I remember correctly, I did just that before I took you to Columbus. I know I can trust you, darling, not to take advantage, at Mom's expense, of your priority in my obligations. In closing, you have my best wishes for a successful and happy outcome to the course you are taking. I hope everyone concerned will profit by the break. My one regret is that I'll have to revise my dream of coming home to 4906. I think, honey, you've underestimated the affection I felt for the place. Time to shower now, baby, so I'll take my leave now. With all my love to you and Adele and all. Keep hoping, honey. I am, and keep writing as often as you can. To your ever-loving Phil. P.S. I'll write to the Jacks tomorrow, I hope.